Продовжимо роботу.
We continue our working day. I'm inviting Colonel Motuzyanyk, the Speaker of the Presidential Administration on ATO issues. The Colonel, the floor is yours. Good afternoon, esteemed journalists. The events that took place in the last 24 hours in the ATO zone in Lugansk direction at 10 o'clock in the morning, Ukrainian troops repelled the attack of the diversion reconnaissance group of the militants that was near Novoalexandrovka. The group of enemies came to the distance of 100 meters to the positions of ATO forces. In the result of the warfare that lasted for 20 minutes, 2 militants were killed. After this military combat, the enemy was trying to shell at our servicemen from mortars, large caliber machine guns and small arms. Also, the militants launched 6 artillery shells from 122 millimeter systems, 3 from 120 millimeter mines near Popasna. Some armed provocations were registered near the village Krimske and near Zhovte. In total, 8 cases of violation of ceasefire were registered in Lugansk direction. Twice the heavy weaponry was used. Donetsk direction, intensive military actions continue. In Avdiivska industrial zone, half of the shellings of the enemy were there. They were actively using the mortars. They launched 44 mines from the mortars of the caliber of 82 and 120 millimeters at the positions of ATO forces. Also, the militants were shelling near Shakhta Butovka, Verkhnyotorets and Lugansk village. In these regions and also near Mayorsk, the militants were shelling from grenade launchers, machine guns and small arms. In total, in the Donetsk direction, there were 23 shellings registered and a total of 70 mines were launched. In Mariupolsky direction, there are most number of shellings in the last 24 hours. That's the only section where the militants were starting firing from the combat personnel vehicles near Marinka, Vodyaneta, Lakivka, Shirokina. Also, they were actively using heavy weaponry that is prohibited by Minsk agreements. These are heavy mortars near Marinka, Taramchuk, Novotroitsk, Lakivka. These shellings were taking place closer to midnight. The militants launched 76 mines and 5 artillery shells. 3 more provocations using small arms were registered near Gnutovo, Bogdanivka and Starognatiivka. The total in Mariupolsky direction during the 24 hours, the militants started 28 times shelling at the positions of ATO. At each section of the front line, the armed forces of Ukraine were opening fire in response because of the threat to life of our servicemen. During the last 24 hours, not a single Ukrainian serviceman was killed. 1 was wounded. That was in Donetsk direction. Now the serviceman is in Avdiivka hospital. And the total losses of the enemy during the last 24 hours, 3 occupants were killed and 3 were wounded from the so-called 3rd Separate Brigade, which is located in Gorlivka, and 6th Regiment, which is located in Stakhanov. The militants continue to put obstacles to the activities of the special monitoring mission of the OSCE to cover the facts of violations of Minsk agreements. On the 13th of August, during the visit of the international monitors to the so-called 2nd Brigade in Lugansk, the militants limited the access of the mission to warehouses. Probably they have something to hide, and that is another violation of the conditions of Minsk agreements, which clearly set the mandate of the mission in the region of ATO and temporarily occupied territories according to the military reconnaissance from Russia, and not the strength reinforcement to arrive to militants. They moved to Donetsk the system Layer 3, which is used to uh, uh, to suppress the GSM communication, and also they create obstacles by the drones. Russia moved 5 tanks T-72 to Makiyivka and 9 fuel trucks to Mospina. Also, the 3 trucks Ural with the ammunition arrived to Novazovsk. The militants of the National Guard detained the citizen of Yasenovata who was trying to get intelligence on the location of our checkpoints. The men wanted to take a photograph of the checkpoint. The Ukrainian servicemen detained him when searching through his belongings. They found in his telephone the photographs of the checkpoints of the militants and also his personal photograph with the weapons. The Ukrainian pilots of tactical aviation continued their training. The air fighting with the the air fighting is one of the most difficult types of training of the pilots. The specific feature of this type is the speed of the development of the situation during the battle and the necessity to get oriented in the space very quickly. Thank you.